It's not on. Hello. Hey, Hoobs. How you doing? Is everything working now? Yeah. Noise. Noise. Here we go. Here we go, gang. What's up? How you doing, Hoobs? You were real quick getting in here.
I should clean this from time to
Missed you, man. Saw the notification, ran to my Mac. I missed you too, friend. This is Ravenous Devils. Basically Sweeney Todd, but instead of a
smells
barber,
so good.
it's a tailor and his wife. And we're making food out of people. Yay! Even got a street urchin working for me now. Oh wait, no, I can't cook a whole person either. I've played a little while, so I'm further along than just starting out. I updated my Mac after resetting and it looks pretty epic now. I'll send you a pic. Ooh, nice. We love an epic Mac. Alright, I think we're gonna open up the shops.
I should clean this from time to time.
Open shop with displays and mannequins full. Split, split, split. It's beautiful, isn't it? This is how the sausage is made. And we have steaks. It's all made of human meat. This game is so fucked. I love it. Now we've prepared some dishes. This fucking door won't close for some reason. I'm just gonna murder him. Splat. And we'll see what they want. They want saucies. What's the next one? They want steaks.
People will like this.
People will like this. I love just seeing what games people are playing on my Steam. It's kind of fun. The new Hollow Knight game has been real popular among, well, not only my friends, like on the interwebs.
As fast as I can.
Let's see. Can we cook these two?
Baking time.
Baking time. Sent you a pic, which you can look at when you get the chance. Thanks. You're gonna kill this woman. Splat.
Smells so good.
Oh, that was nothing. God damn it.
All right.
All right. I just wasted
As fast
a
as I can.
steak. It's annoying. Oh. They want a hamburger.
Baking
How is
time.
school and the wife? School is going great, actually. I've just been lazing around past few days a little bit too much. And the wife is super good. Hey, Jibs! What up, Jibs? Put your jibs back in. How you doing, friend?
Like this.
What up, what up? Not much, man. I'm just here, playing my fucked up little game. What up with you? I've been okay. I've been stressing about school a little bit, but it's going fairly well, so I don't think I need to stress that much about it. I'm just gonna murder this guy. Stab in the neck and there. Thanks for the lurk, Hoops. How you been, Jibs? Toothache, so life's been quite off. Oh, fuck. I hate a toothache. Man, that sucks. I feel bad for you. We're gonna make some steak. Gotta go to the dentist for that shit as well. Going to the dentist always sucks. It sucks.
People will like this.
People will like it. Trying to see if I can get in to get it pulled. I mean, getting it pulled would be the easiest solution, right? Just getting it the fuck out of there.
People will like this.
Evict that tooth, man. It doesn't deserve to live in your penthouse. Nice, nice, nice. Alright, and these are the last clients now as well. Alright, and they're eating. So we're just gonna make some food.
Baking time.
Baking time! At this point I'm not gonna miss it. Is it like one of the back teeth as well? Because those like get easily infected. And you don't really need them, you know. If it was like one of the front teeth here, that'd be a little bit tougher. You might not want to get that pulled. But yeah, the back teeth, just fucking yeet them out of your head, man. Get rid of them. Who needs them, you know? I gave this little boy some gin before. Hildred, Hildred, I brought you some beautiful flowers. Why, thank you, Peter. Hey, Lou. What up? How you doing, Lou? Give me flowers before. I always used to collect flowers for my mom before she... Right, also, we murdered his mom. His mom became a pie, and I'm pretty sure we gave him some of his mom. Now let's go to the harbor to help an old man to fish. Maybe he will pay me if I do a good job. Why shouldn't you have told me that? He asked me not to tell anyone, I don't know why. But touch deal and I know you can keep this secret. He's gonna help a dude to go fish, but he's not allowed to tell anyone. He's gonna get murdered, right? I'm good. I'm having a good day. Me and the wife made some homemade sushi. And we've just been chilling today. Found out where Elisvin is gone. It's a great chat. I was madly in love with her. I wept for days after learning about her tuberculosis. I remember fondly the day spent with her in my youth. Dressed in summer clothes. Wow, okay. I can't even begin to imagine what it feels like to know you are dying. If only I had more time to spend with her. Probably would ask for her hand in marriage. She's your cousin, dude. Ugh. She received a big funeral ceremony. Many people came to express their love. Spent some time in the burial chamber, standing at the foot of a coffin. When no one was around, I cut out a lock of her golden hair. I'm holding it close to me now, so I write this letter, and somehow I feel closer to her. I'm in an awfully foul mood. Is the time ripe to drown my sorrows in food? Maybe not. 2 victims are still not enough. No way. Me and Hoops made sushi the other night too. You did! Fucking awesome. You ate the ingredients. As well you should. That's what it should be like. Oh my gosh. I really like this game, by the way. It's super
As
fun,
fast as I can.
very simple, but it's also super fucked. You're this couple, you move into it's basically the old Sweeney Todd house. Like, they have a disclaimer and everything, like, oh, this is not the Sweeney Todd house, but it is the Sweeney Todd house. And pretty soon after you set up shop, some anonymous person's like, hey, I know you're killing people and serving them as food.
Baking time.
And then that mysterious
Smells so good.
Mr. J, we get a bunch of letters from him. Mr. J, he sends people to us that he wants us to kill and preserve for him. So right now we've killed 2 people. We have this guy here and then a roly-poly man lying on the floor here. We do split it pretty evenly, so I don't really mind because I enjoy cooking. Cooking is fucking nice, for sure. Oh, and then you have a cat as well, and the cat can hunt mice or rats. You can cook the rats and you can serve them on platters here. It's pretty disgusting, but wonderful. Let's see. You see, I've upgraded so many things. I need tomatoes as well. Steaks table produces more steaks. We could do that for sure. Yeah, we're gonna upgrade the steaks table. And then what we could do is buy 2 more tables later on. Which we're probably gonna do. Nothing matches the feeling when you see people visibly enjoying a meal you've made from scratch. Oh, for sure. Sorry, that sound. Just yuck. We're gonna make some steaks now. I think we can open up the shops for now. Ew. I haven't seen this full slaughter animation. Jesus fucking Christ. Alright. There we go. Those are some good steaks. Disgusting. Alright.
It's really warm.
Take their order, bitch boy. What do they want?
As fast as I can.
As fast as I can. I'll stab. Alright. Look, we're making British food for them. See that I'm being funny.
People will like this. As fast.
Let's get rid of the body.
That smells so.
All right.
Alright. Hello, enemies. How are you, Mr. Enemy? Are you doing okay? Alright, we're gonna refill the things up there. See, by midday, this game becomes a little bit stressful. Because there's like so much you gotta do. You gotta refill stuff.
As fast as I can.
What a beautiful Spotify overlay, isn't it just? I am great and humble too. He truly is the most humble man. I've never seen such a humble man before.
Smells so good.
Excuse me, sir. I have better things to do.
People will
As fast
like
as I
this.
can.
Alright. I don't have to stress with these people anymore though, because I got the gin barrel, and the gin barrel can like refill that. So I shouldn't be stressing too much.
As fast as I can. That smells so good.
Playing an oldie but a goodie. How you doing today, Enemy? Are you alive and well? Or just alive?
That smells so good.
You are great. Very, very good. Very good to hear. Working on itis? Oh my gosh. Insanity.
Now I just wait.
If it type play secrets, it replaces it. Keyboard no longer lags. I guess. Or wait, like your keyboard no longer lags.
People will like this.
See, now he's serving gin to the people who've been waiting,
As fast as
and
I
it becomes
can.
green again. What do you mean I need my hands free? Fucking send it, bitch.
All right.
Itis interception no longer lags. Oh, nice, 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 nice. Alright, we're just gonna make a fuck ton of steaks instead. See if that works.
Baking time.
Baking time. Who knows that I can't like carry 2 trays at a time?
As fast.
We got 90 pounds though, that's pretty good.
People will like this.
So tonight, 'cause dude, I'm not waiting. I think I should take a nap. Go take a nap, Hoobs. Leave your computer to Lou. She needs it. Evil designer, the collector. My Sunday finest. Spiteful skeleton. Sick. Dolled up. The undead bride.
Allow he just redeemed hydrate.
What?
Glug glug mother lover.
Alright. Are you watching porn?
Yes?
Who sent you?
You're not my supervisor!
Ingen skickade mig. Men jag skulle dricka vatten tydligen.
Så det var bara puss från dig?
Va?
Det var bara puss från dig?
Vad sa du?
Det var bara puss från dig?
Ja.
Ja, vad mysigt! Ja, vad gulligt! Ja, men gud,
Kollar du på porr?
Va?
Kollar du på porr?
Nej, pigtails.
Sure. Sorry, I didn't have any water, Louis, so I went and got water. Hello. And caught my wife watching porn. Oh, come on.
The debt must be paid. Right.
Really? Fuck's sake. You're making me do push-ups, wife.
Take your shirt off! You should take your shirt off.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Oh jeez. No, it's my seat. Hello.
Hello. I held it for ransom.
You held it for ransom. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What up, Sammy? Why are you not playing Borderlands 4? Man, I can't buy more games. Hoops says hello. Do love me some Borderlands though. Why would I like buy these upgrades? Interesting. Yeah, I give you permission. Thank you. Enemy says hello, wife.
What?
Enemy and Hoobs say hello.
Hello.
Hello. Alright, we're grabbing the tomatoes. I have the most push-ups. God fucking damn it. Composter. Super concentrated. Ooh. There's satisfying on Wester Chris again. Ooh. I can make some room in the attic. There's a lot of sunlight up there. I've already prepared something, but I need to finish setting up completely. Let's take a look. Cool. This place stinks of Karen, but it's looking good at least. I really can't buy anything in this world. I can plant tomato seeds in this topsoil container.
Are you playing Phasmo?
No. I'm playing Ravenous Devils.
Oh, right. You should play Phasmo.
No, I should not play Phasmo, no.
Is that a dead guy?
Yeah. And that's another dead guy. And
Why
that's
do you
a
have
head.
dead guys?
Because I killed them and then I served their meat.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
that was
I'm
the
gonna
thing you
go
mentioned.
work
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
ITS. If I
Yes.
get distracted, I won't get anything done. Have a wonderful stream. Enemy out. 07.
Alright, bye enemy. 07 to you. Bathtub med composter, man. Shit in this case. Alright, the fuck? Alright, so we got fertilizer. We put it on the tomatoes. Take that, you stupid plants. Hurry up and grab. I have an appointment. This could be right time to try out my idea. It's a great opportunity for you, my dear client. Take comfort in that. Why are they not closing the door properly? Stab? Stab! Some meat will be sacrificed, but if Hildur wants ingredients, this is a compromise we must make. Let's grab the corpse. And put it in the composter. Of course.
Time will do its job.
Oh my god, the tomatoes get ready to harvest like within this minute. Goodbye. That's insane. Send the tomatoes to Hildred using the dumbwaiter. What a sweet man. Let's take them. Alright. Fun cooking new recipes. Alright. Very interesting. Oh my gosh. That's lasagna. Kebabs. Alright. Very interesting recipes here. I think what we're gonna do right now is continue making meat. I'm out of fertilizer. Oh, so I can't grow more tomatoes. We're gonna make more sausages though.
A pan or a meatball?
I am the censorship here. You don't have to see how she's making the sausages. You're gonna see how you make steaks though. Splat, splat.
A pie or a meatball? What?
Right, we can actually start with this as well. The door is annoying me.
Moving there.
I'm just chopping up a person here. Whee!
People will like this.
I really dislike this white placemat because it's like difficult to get a click on it. Alright, let's open up the shops. If we pet the cat will catch a mouse for us. And mice are like 3-star foods for some reason. Yeah, she's just gonna go grab normal food. Ooh, they're gonna order.
This
I wonder
is
what
a
they're gonna order.
masterpiece.
This normal fucking hamburger. We can do that. Murder that guy. We send this. We're gonna grab what you had there. Gonna put this in the oven.
I'll just wait.
I'm gonna send this up.
As fast as I can.
I'm gonna send this to just to refill the thing.
So
Self-serving trays here, and then we're gonna make order for table number 2. Oh, sorry. Need to get rid of this corpse. Precious.
All right.
that smells so good.
Wait, do I have? No, never mind. Right. I'm just gonna send
As fast
this.
as I can.
See what they want. They want a pie. Alright, so he's sending some gin to that table, meaning we can send this out. One of these fuckers wants lasagna. Oh my gosh, interesting. I haven't made this before. We're just gonna murder her real quick. Oh my lord. Oh, no. Precious.
People will like this.
People will like this. Oh, come on.
Moving there.
Moving there. And then we're gonna grab some of this, make some more tomatoes. What was it with steak? Is it like just normal steak or steak with everything else? Alright, fuck everything. Oh my gosh. Alright, but these are the last clients, so we're all good. We made it through the day. We can probably send like one of these fuckers up.
Baking time.
Oh, two of them. We want to fill up so we have full foods. The trays there. That's what I call a surprise. Found them in a client's pocket. I think I'll plant them in the greenhouse. See what they grow into. Oh, cool. I got new seeds. Man, I should have bought these tomatoes for a long time ago. I'm curious. Alright, we're fertilizing.
Rotten.
And we're gonna put the tomatoes here. Put them there. Come on.
All right.
Oh, right. Alright, so now there's like a ton to do actually. We gotta prep properly. Probably need to make mince out of him. Don't need to worry about the blood until we're almost open. Well, I could do that just now. Because I have like 3 different types of meats, and I usually like place one of them each here. Oh, mails. Dear friends, here's some information on the 3rd target. This time it's a lady, so I suggest you be extra delicate. Her name is Yvonne LaRoche, a wealthy woman married to one of the richest men in the city. I saw her for the first time when Mr. LaRoche invited me to go fishing on the lake. When we returned from our trip, Yvonne was waiting for us with her friends beneath a huge flower-adorned gazebo. They were sipping tea. I was immediately struck by her skin, white as the moon. Such an elegant and graceful woman. With a certain pride, her husband told me that his wife ran a beauty shop selling lotions, scents, and skin creams. Take what I am about to tell you as advice. Never buy a thing from her. To save, skimp on raw materials. Lady LaRoche uses scraps and dangerous chemicals, yet all of this is well packaged and sold as premium quality cosmetics. I do not know if I admire her entrepreneurial spirit, but one thing is for certain, I would like to taste her. I want her for my banquet. Handle her flesh with care. I am always watching you. Sincerely, Jay. Thanks for the lure, Coobs. Appreciate you, friend. Ooh, unlock potatoes in their place in the garden. Potatoes, onions, and eggs.
Oh.
I can unlock all of those. Learn all your grandma's recipes. Don't know if I did that. Got it. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my lord. Alright. There's a fair bit of stuff to be able to make now. I think we're going to continue just serving steaks up here. Feels like the way to go.
This is a masterpiece.
This is a masterpiece. Alright, I guess we're just gonna fertilize these fuckers too. Like before you start a day, you can prepare a whole bunch, which is really nice.
Moving there.
I'd love to have more space here though. So I could have like one of everything prepared.
I deserve more money.
We just need more money. Yeah, we all need more money, man.
The best ingredients for
Oh,
my
right.
recipe.
So we don't have to click it afterwards. Just need to send it down. She picks it up. She automatically puts it away.
As fast as I can.
As fast as I can. Just gonna prepare. see if we can. There are no ingredients to harvest. Gotcha. Or are we gonna open the shops now? Alright. We're so fucking prepped, gang.
All right.
2 pounds.
I like this color.
Murder. How about that?
That smells so good.
Thing is, like, now they also want sausage and eggs. And when that's out, the fuck am I gonna do? You know? I don't have any more eggs.
There's blood everywhere.
Baking time.
He served the second table before the first. Idiot child.
Like this.
Alright, we're gonna grab this. Oh, come on. Stab.
There's blood everywhere.
There is blood everywhere.
That smells.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna make sausage out of this dude because we're running low on sausages. Customers I have here, I gotta kill them and get rid of them faster. Hello,
Rude.
what are you doing?
I'm gonna take a shower.
You're gonna take a shower. Are you gonna be naked while you shower?
No, that would be very inappropriate.
Super inappropriate if you were naked and showering. Oh my gosh. You didn't see it, but she showed me her bra. Insane. Come on. Sausages and chips.
Baking time.
gotta fix this.
That smells so good.
We're just gonna place it here and wait until he serves some gin.
It smells so as fast as I can.
Mrs. Van 22 just redeemed kiss wife. Smooch the wife.
Smooch the wife, you say? Oh my gosh. She is so silly, my wife. So freaking silly. I tell you. Alright, wait. I'm gonna serve them the gin first, and then... Yes. Then we send the steaks. Thank you, kitty cat. Let's see.
Baking time.
Alright.
As fast as I can. Now I just wait.
Alright.
People will like this.
I'm just gonna send some stuff up to refill the plates here. Nah. We're getting a visitor. This place stinks. Excuse you. I'm about to close. Maybe you could call in tomorrow, perhaps another day. Don't intend to wait any longer. Excuse me. Yesterday I sent someone to pick up my dress and decided to order something. Just because people say that you're the best tailor around here. I want to get this novel dress. She'll make me a replacement, free of charge, or I shall have this place shut down. Was the order in your name? Of course. I'm Yvonne Laroche. This is how you treat all your customers. I guarantee that my clothes are made with the utmost care and precision. Give me a chance to set this right. Just for you, I'll make you one complete and clear charge, but first, could I please take your measurement? Yes, but make it quick. Stab, stab, stab. Do you like red? Sorry? You should be sorry. How dare you coming in with such requests? Who do you think you are? What are you doing? Help, help! Bad habit to scream like that. What's your power now? Your insolence. Better let me go now. I've had enough of you. Oh, Jesus. That is... They are all dead now. Hildred must cook these three bastards. We just need to take our reward. Kill Mr. J and leave this place. If what Yvonne said is true, we're in danger now. I hope the next letter won't take long to arrive. Interesting. Alright, so we have three corpses and a head. Faulty woman making you dress for Yvonne. Let's see here. Upgrades. Pigeon house. Don't really need those. But I love a bigger pigeon house. A better pigeon house. Don't need more tomatoes down there.
I deserve more money.
But potatoes and onions, yes.
They're heavy.
They're heavy. Very interesting. They're rotating at different speeds. There's got to be some significance here.
At least they're not rotten.
Fuck. I didn't mean to harvest those. No ingredients to harvest here.
As
Moving there.
Moving there. We're just gonna grow more of everything. Alright, let's open the shops. See what happens. No, the kitty cat is gone. Out hunting, maybe? Alright, we're gonna prep a steak there.
people will want
Ooh, that's a lot of ingredients.
this. As fast as I can.
As fast as I can. Oh shit, he went in here and... Aw, dang it. Didn't kill him. I should have murderized him.
People will like this. That smells so good.
You can send that there. Murder.
As fast as I can.
I'm gonna throw you down there. Alright. Bestie's playing Warframe.
People
Insane.
will like this.
Yeah, we're gonna take that rat from you. Thank you very much.
As fast as I can.
Hello, friend. How are you, friend?
That smells so good.
What are we doing? I mean, I know what you're doing. I know you're playing Warframe. How are you doing today, friend? Bestie friend. Friend bestie. Ooh.
Smells
Good food is cooking in the crock pot and just clean the bathroom. Oh my gosh. You're such a good person. Cooking food and cleaning bathrooms? Dang. Tells ya. Hubs is vacuuming, so we're doing our chores. Nice. That's fucking nice. Me and the wife made some sushi today and finished watching all 3 seasons of Shoresy over the course of 2 days. She didn't enjoy Shoresy at first, and then she realized how much of a masterpiece it is. Yeah, I don't have any eggs though. There are no ingredients, yeah. What am I gonna do? They're gonna get real mad at me.
as fast as I can.
Like I can't magically make eggs disappear or appear, can I? I can make eggs disappear right up my butt. Oh my gosh. Yeah, like they're not gonna get. They're not gonna get their food. This is just not gonna happen. Why are there no ingredients there? That's my question. Give me those fucking eggs, yo. Poor last clients won't get shit.
Baking time.
So this is kind of annoying that they can order something I don't have the ingredients for.
As fast as I can. People will like this.
I'm just gonna cook this sausage right quick. So I didn't get any bad orders. Truly satisfied with your excellent work. You've killed all the required targets. I'm sure my threats have motivated you somewhat. Light the stove up and start setting up the table for my banquet. I expect everything to be perfect and extremely delicious, of course. We'll be there tonight with your reward. Cool. Pokey catch. Alright, we're buying 2 more tables. Oh, we get an ad incoming. We get an ad.
It's for my recipe.
At least they're not rotten.
I'm gonna shut these fuckers. Oh, wait, so they're like still sitting here waiting for their food.
Do this from time to time.
Silcoon. Nice. You caught the Pokemon's bestie. Whip it, whip, whip. What happens when they don't get their shit? That's my question. There are no ingredients to be harvested. Alright. I'm gonna pet the kitty cat. Alright, so they left. So they got mad? Looking forward to next week? Like this upcoming week? Fuck, I guess. Is there something special happening next week apart from the wedding I'm supposed to go to? The wedding I will go to, rather. Not just supposed to. Open shops. No. Nothing else. How you feeling? I'm feeling not great, but kind of okay. Acceptable, you know. I'm making corpse sausages. You know, trying to make conversation. Are you looking forward to next week, bestie? How's the weather down there, etc., etc. Oh my gosh! All right.
As fast as I can.
It's been raining a lot. That sucks. It was supposed to be like real good weather here yesterday, and it was in the forenoon, and then right as like I went to this store to buy some stuff so we could grill, because the weather was so good, and right as I was about to start the grill, it started pouring. So we didn't eat any grilled stuffs yesterday. Oh, sorry, we're gonna kill this guy. Yeah, I still don't have any eggs, so table number 4 can eat a whole bag of them. Oops. I still get to keep that. Jesus Christ. Too much is happening in the game right now. Don't mind the rain, we got some thunder and everything, which I love. Oh my gosh. You do love your thunder and rain, don't you? Ah! Alright, we're gonna prep this sexy ass meat pie. This game is way more stressful than I want it to be, which is kind of annoying. We're gonna go here, we're gonna murder the lady. We're gonna grab this, put it over there.
There's blood everywhere.
There's blood everywhere. Yeah, there is.
All right.
Because I'm murdering people. There we go.
As fast
Now
as
they're
I
happy
can.
again. Jesus Christ, no. Putting that in there. Gonna send this up. Oh, come on. There you go.
As fast as
Oh man. Alright, you're gonna get what you need. Just take a beat, man. Jesus Christ, man. Alright, we're sending this up now. Because they just got served alcohol. Yeah, the people wanting eggs. Like, I'm sorry, but that's never gonna happen, seems like. Like, there are no fucking pigeons laying eggs in my pigeon coop. Might be a lag. Yeah, they're really mad now as well. So they got bad service.
I can.
As fast as I can. I'm just gonna make real nice food over here. I think you can make like sausage and potatoes as well, right? Yeah. Nice. Maroon. Wait, get down. There we go. I need somewhere to put my legs. Oh my gosh. I love these types of lazy Sundays. Just doing nothing much. Enjoying life. Having a sit. Alright. Good morning, Hildred. Hi, Peter. What are you holding? It's an old storybook. I'm taking it to myself some money. Can't read anyway. Give me that. I'll read you something. Then you can sell it if you still want to. Once upon a time, two brothers lived happily with their parents. However, they didn't have much money, so the father decided to abandon the brothers in the woods. That's terrible. The brothers were frightened and starving. Until eventually they came across a little house in the middle of the forest. To their astonishment, they found the entire house was made of marzipan. They started to eat the house ravenously. A marzipan house sounds delicious. All of a sudden, a witch came out of the house. She was really mad. She said, "How dare you two little kids jump through me house?" In an instant, she captured and imprisoned the two children and decided she was going to eat them. Please stop, Lady Hildred. The story is scaring me. I don't think I'll keep on reading anyway. Some water seems to have dropped on the last page and I can't make the words out. Practice reading and learn how to write, and you'll be able to write your own ending to this story. What do you think? Always have fun with you. I'm going to market and see if they could offer me a good price for this book, otherwise I'll keep it. Bye bye. Bye, darling. My liggity lord. That's all I have to say to that.
People will like this.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
Alright. Thunder and lightning, very, very frightening me. Galileo. Galileo Figaro. Very nourishing, I like it is. Alright. Fuck it, you know what? We're gonna go out to the main menu. See if we can restart all of this. Because the door here needs to be closed. Yes, thank you very much. But then we're set back a bit as well. Fuck off. Really? Well, that's annoying.
This is a masterpiece.
Alright. Oh, this is a really nice song. Drive-by Lovers.
I
Very
like this
cute.
color.
I like this color. Now my question is, where the fuck are the pigeon eggs? No ingredients. Yeah, no. I gather as much. Oh my gosh. And the potatoes ran out as well. Fuck off with this game sometimes, honestly. Come on. Steak. Nice. We can use those ingredients.
As fast as I can.
As fast as I can.
Baking time. People will like
You gotta run to the bathroom before we start the next day as
this.
well.
People will like this.
There's a pidget in the chat. It's a pidget in the chat. An idjit pidget. Alright. BRB, gang. motherfuckers. Alright. I'm back. I'm here. I am attacking this game. Let's open the shops. Oh shit. Right. I probably should have started shopping people.
Lylv underscore just redeemed hydrate.
Oh my gosh.
Glug glug mother lover.
I just had a pee and you want me to hydrate immediately? Wow. Insane. Let's see, sausage and barley. Murder? Murder!
That smells so...
Glug glug, mother lover. Gluggity gluggity gluggity, mother lover. I appreciate you keeping me hydrated, love. It's wonderful. I need to wet my insides. Right, we gotta clean up.
As fast as I can.
I do try and a half. You do try and a half. I'd say you try and a whole, even. Let's see here.
People don't like this.
Pretty sure my servant is gonna, yeah. He's serving some alcohol. Murder. Just gonna put him in the compost as well. We're gonna
As fast
cook
as
this rat real quick.
baking time.
Alright, I feel like I'm getting the hang of this a bit more.
No, I just wait. It smells so...
Alright, we're gonna make more clothes. I'm gonna serve him
smells
this.
so good.
I need my friend's hands free. You had your hands free, you fuck.
People will like this.
Let's have a fucking Donnybrook. Stab, stab. Right, I'm just gonna
As fast as I
make
can.
more food. Or we're gonna serve what we have. Rip. Love a man who can rip off my clothes just like that. Hurrah. I'm gonna put him in here. Sick.
That smells so good.
We'll send that up. Really appreciate having all these mannequins and serving trays. Makes life a little bit easier. Ooh, alright. Lady Hildred. Living on the streets is too difficult for me. I have no money to eat. I can't manage to live on my own. I've sold everything I have. Please let me stay here with you. Or else I'll do everything you ask of me. My dear Peter, what the hell are you talking about? You know full well I can't feed you two. I need to take care of my husband and our shops. How could you come to such an idea? Please, I need a mum. Someone loving and kind like you. Me? A mother? Peter, please, get these thoughts out of your head. There's a harsh world, boy, extremely cruel. The mere thought of you all alone out there breaks my heart. But I can't take care of you. I was just like you before meeting Percival. I'm sure you'll find your way, just like I did. Peter, take this money, and swear to me that you'll go to the station and take the first train away from this evil city. You deserve a better life than this. But I'll do as you ask, ma'am. I promise. I'll trust you. Never forget you. Forget me. Now go, my love, and take good care of yourself. Goodbye, Hildred. Me, a mother. She's not anyone's mama though. Act like a good parent. It's not like I had a choice in the matter. The game kind of forced me to do it. I would have killed him and made him into a pie.
Just
The fuck? It says daily profit 53, but we got 0 cash? Oh, because she gave the profits of the day to that little street urchin. Fucking women and their soft arts, am I right? No. I think that's kind of the sentiment they're going with in this game.
baking time.
Baking time. Alright, we're gonna get some fertilizer on this fucker, and we're gonna fertilize these fuckers. These fuckers over here, eh? I think this is the recipe for lasagna, right? Yeah, it is. Oh, crikey meat. Sorry, I should shut the fuck up. There we go. We're gonna pet the cat.
Go get me a little mouse.
Go catch me, little mouse. A little mouse. Why are there never any ingredients there? What the fuck is that about, man? Like I bought the coop and I upgraded it, the pigeon house. They shit a lot. Like it's I haven't gotten a single fucking egg from it. I'm gonna send up the saucies too.
So fast.
Moving there.
My lord. Children should take the ingredients first. Blah 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 blah.
Recipes.
A little what? Thank you. She needs to free the elevator before it can start growing shit. What even is that? Alright. That's a burp. If you didn't know. If you've never had a bath before, that's what it was. Wait, can I just keep fertilizing it though? Alright, we're gonna open the shops. See what we can do. Alright.
So good.
Smells so good. $1.65. £1.65, £1.15.
As fast as I can.
Alright, we're sending that up. Saucies. Stab.
There's blood everywhere. Moving there.
Baking time.
Alright, we're just gonna clean up here right quick. Alright, and then just normal sausages. You can do that.
As fast as I can.
You can do most of these. Let's see. They are going to want that soon, right?
Like this.
Stab. The fuck do you mean?
As fast as I can. People will
Shit,
like
now I'm
that.
actually getting stressed out. A little bit.
As fast as I can.
Alright. I'm gonna put you up there. Alright. The oven is not cooking anymore, no.
As fast as I can.
No. There. That's what you want.
Pie or meatball?
All right.
Okay, yeah, I did it, gang. I survived. Unlike some of my clients. Whew. Hildred. Oh, Percival, you scared the hell out of me, honey. I thought it was a client. Client has come here and alive. Yes, that's a good point. Are you here? You're ready. Finally! Did you have trouble with Yvonne? She was arrogant. Who isn't in this city? At least we had some fun. May have gone too far this time. You want to tell me someone will come looking for her? You're in danger now. That's not a problem. We can leave. Like the last time. Disappear and start over again. Nothing will stop us long as we are together. We'll take the reward and kill him. But why? Why does Mr. J want to come here? He's not stupid. He surely knows we'll try to kill him no matter what. But we can't kill him if he doesn't give us our reward. Who knows what it is? Do you think he's bringing other people? I don't know. I can't see such a psychopath enjoying other people's company. But I'm not a psychopath myself, so I couldn't tell. Oh, come on. What if he's armed? I'm not afraid. We'll take him out anyway. Sure, everything will be fine. I need to bring the corpses down here. Oh, that man is super dead and rotten. Where would you like to go? Far away from the city, a place where you can relax but just enjoy. You go anyway. By the sea, you will feed sharks to their neighbours. Ha ha ha, come here now. Help me with Elliot. Piece by piece. While I'm cooking, you should prepare the table here. This is the best place to kill Mr. J. Smile, my love, by this time tomorrow we won't work here anymore. We'll be in a better place. I think they're gonna die, if anything.
Mr. J has finally arrived. He made it clear that we will pay our reward at the end of the meal. Tonight, I have outdone myself on the cooking front. The main dish is gilbert, served rare with salt and pepper. Lady LaRoche is only skin and bones. I put her on the stove to avoid scorching the skin. Elliot has been here for a while. In fact, he smelt awful, but I still did a great job. I put his eyes in the pan with some sugar to caramelize them. Such a scrumptious dessert. Mr. J seemed to enjoy his meal. He ate it as if he was starving. It was quite disgusting.
The reward he offered us for our hard work? Just more bother. He requests that we become his personal chefs in return for his protection. Surely that would have made us untouchable, but also his slaves.
Yeah.
We understood that he wasn't prepared to take no.
Hello,
for an
Hoobs.
answer. We are no longer willing to play his games. The only thing that he will taste now are
Yeller.
my scissors.
Stab, stab, stab. I don't think it was too big of a nap. You had a fair nap. A little nappy nap. I'd have a nap right now. Who's the real devil in the end? Yeah. I started playing this last night. Finished it now. It's on sale on Steam right now. I bought it for like €2. Well worth the money, I'd say. Very cute game. Oh, come on. I hate a game that doesn't let you skip the credits. That is annoying. I tells you. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Karoo is streaming today as well, so
Soul
we're
Thread is the
gonna
prettiest one at the party.
raid her later. Soul Thread is the prettiest one at the party. Continue from the last checkpoint to unlock everything, and are still plans to serve and kill. Got it. We just fucked all my progress? No? Perfect little bit problem. Oh my gosh. We're gonna cuddle the kitty cat. One Foot Out the Door by Kid Hugh. Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? This live had me screaming. Bit perfect, little bit problem. Because you've seen Kid Hugh live like at least once, right? Man, I haven't been to a concert in ages. Feels like
Baking time.
I was sick too. That's a true fan right
As fast as
there.
I can.
See him live whenever he plays. Nice. Wait, let's see. Sausage. Some bangers and mash. Wait, can I just do... No, can't. That's annoying.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
I like this color.
I like this color. He's so weird. It's such an odd voice.
People like this.
I had the fucking coup there for a while and nothing is happening with it. I'm not getting any more eggs. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing wrong. Wait, don't tell me I need to like use fertilizer on the pigeonhole. Oh, come on, really? Oh, fuck off with that. Oh, that makes me so mad. You don't fertilize it. Oh my gosh. No, I should have understood the game mechanics there, but That makes me proper annoyed, actually.
It smells so good.
You guys.
Right.
You are a good hunter.
Alright. This is a really nice song. I can imagine it's really fucking powerful live as well. We need tomatoes and potatoes.
At least
Tomates and potatoes.
all right.
I'm getting hungry again. Maybe because of the game I'm playing as well.
At least they're not rotten.
Who knows? But I think we're just gonna have like sandwiches for dinner, something. Sammy Din Din. That's the kids say. That's what the kids say, right? All the cool kids say Sammy Din Din. Alright. Ingredient. It's a wrap. I need a corpse to throw.
People will like this.
Alright, we're opening the shops. Fuck, I should have upgraded stuff. Whatever. Sometimes you fuck up, and that's acceptable.
You are a good hunter, my cousin.
I don't have that much meat anymore
As fast
either.
as I can.
And I'm all out of fertilizer too. I need a lot of customers to die today. Killing's gonna be my main goal here.
This is a masterpiece.
This is a masterpiece. No, she wants something. Oh, she wants that whole thing. That's annoying though. That's gonna cost me all my ingredients. And I do not have anyone to murder right now.
Now I just wait.
I can't make any more of anything really. Shit out of luck, as they say. Just dump that here. No, can't.
As fast as I can. That smells so...
Right. Hey kid, you gotta serve them some drinks. Fuck's sake. I swear, this kid that I hired, this literal child, he's not a good server. And I'm all out of everything now as well.
Bacon time.
The fuck you mean? Need your hands free before you do that. Yeah, what do you want me to... I need to steal some clothes? I know. But for that I gotta kill someone.
As fast as I can.
And taters. This is so annoying though.
People will like this.
I must have missed someone I could have killed. Which is even more annoying. I'm gonna be all out of meat and everything
As
now.
fast as I can.
Like, no meat, no clothes, no nothing. What the fuck am I gonna do now?
It smells so good. People will like
So how do I have 3 different plates here?
Moving there.
Oh shit, they already got served alcohol, and I forgot to serve them their food. Dang. Not gonna be happy about this.
Go get me a little.
Yep, I got nothing now.
They're heavy.
This game needs some optimizations and updates, I think. Like, if it's just RNG that shoves customers your way. It was a boring day. Gonna buy all of these. There we go. Get all the upgrades. Mr. T would be proud. I kinda want the spiteful skeleton. Undead bride dolled up. Sunday finest, the collector. We're gonna get dolled up. She's gonna be so pretty. I'm sorry, no bikini here. What the fuck? Alright, oh my gosh. See how pretty she is. She's just gonna be stuck down here. There's literally nothing for me to do now. I'm gonna open up shops. Some mannequins need to be dressed. There's nothing to dress them with. I'm all out of everything. I'm gonna have to let my reputation get fucked.
Baking time.
Come on, come in here. No? Alright.
As fast as I can. People like this.
We're gonna eat rat. Because that's the only thing I have to serve. Come on, please, please, please go over here. Come on. Sirs, please, I beg of you, please come into here. I'll take your measurements. It will be wonderful. I promise. I promise. All right. This is never gonna work out. Good sirs, no, please do not leave. Come in here. I'll take your measurements. Post haste. He leaves. I need like one fucking person to come in so I can kill him. There's something wrong with the game here.
That smell.
See? They're not going in here. They're waiting for stuff that isn't there. I need a piece of fabric. Yeah, there's literally nothing to do here. Unless she wants to get murdered. Fuck's sake. It is not fun anymore. I want to quit the game. Let's see. Let's try to restart it. Purely fictional. And this is displayed. Endless mode. Right. Let's try it out. You start with a random ingredient. Crystals can be left alive to not increase the wanted level. You can also cook just vegetables. Pay attention to the wanted level and taxes. It's highly recommended to play the story mode first. Achievements are not unlocked in this mode. Well, fuck you then. I want achievements. Where did Blurp go to? I got rid of Blurp, actually. Didn't really want it anymore. And I'm going to replace it with Tanja entirely. You miss Blurp too? God damn it. Like, we've been talking about replacing Blurp for a long time now. Yeah, even with the walk-ons. I don't know if Tanja has walk-ons.
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Like, the blurps for channel points are still here. Why replace? Why not both? Because it takes up less space, I guess. I don't know. I want my horse cock. Dang. See, it's this shit again. And now I have 7 out of 10 here? But she's coming over here though, so I can at least kill her. Alright. Check this out. We're gonna murder. Alright. Gonna throw her down. Gonna grab her. We need steaks.
As fast as I can.
Alright, I can finally fucking make stuff again. This is super annoying though. Yeah, it takes a long time to butcher a whole human. We got 10 brandy. So this is something that's gonna be like upgradable stuff then. Alright.
This is a masterpiece.
This is a masterpiece. Alright. No. Fuck off. I swear to God.
As fast as I can.
As fast as I can.
Now I just wait.
Murder. Murder. Come on. Stab. Sweet. Alright, potatoes and...
Moving there.
Alright, fuck. Dang.
As fast
This
as
is
I
like
can.
not going quickly enough.
Now I just wait.
Oh, come on. So the one who had waited the longest didn't even get to... I hate this game sometimes. I hate this game sometimes. Alright, we're gonna send that in there. I'm gonna grab this.
That smells
Like, feel the stress now.
Moving
like this.
Alright, next one was this. Alright. I think we're at least gonna be able to get all the tables served. They're not gonna be happy though, even though they drink. The walk-ins are not gonna get shit. Yeah.
Baking time. As fast as I can.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
It smells so.
As fast as I can. Please faster. Please faster. Oh my gosh. Like, this is legit stressful now. slash. Alright, you run out and get some mice for us.
As fast as I can.
The ad is over, yay. I had minus 240 reputation. Daily profit $17. Alright, there we go. Bloody landlady. No, we're gonna get dolled up. And for him, the collector. I think that one is fine for him. Alright.
Moving there.
Alright, so both of them look nicer now. And we've got all the upgrades. Alright. What kind of plant are you?
Smells so as fast as I.
It's a... Give a man a match, and he'll be warm for a few hours. Set him out on fire, and he'll be warm for the rest of his life. It's a flesh-eating plant? The fuck? Hey, Soul Thread. What's up, friend? How are you doing? Are you alive and well, or just alive? Honey! Ooh. The prettiest girl at the party? I'm obsessed with this new game. Yet another new game. Oh, you know how it is. Tired, and I slept 10 hours. There is such a thing as sleeping too much as well. Like, you can get overtired. Let's go. Yeah, you probably really need it as well. Faux show. Seven out of 10 though. Like, how do I get more flour?
You guys stink, by the way.
Alright. I'm just gonna refill everything down here. See, we've got cool new costumes for him as well. Very happy about this. We got all the upgrades. So we're just gonna try to grab as many skins as possible now. That's the goal here, to get all the skins as well. Unlock everything.
These.
I just want more money.
Gonna send the onions downstairs. Let's see. Yay! Kitty cats.
They're heavy.
We're gonna send you out to hunt Mises. Alright, we're gonna open the shops. Because we've got full serving trays, 100%, but now I got like a few hours to play a game that I've been waiting to play for the last 2 weeks, and I'll have to wait 2 more weeks after this to play it again. Oh man. What game is it? Is it Satisfactory? Or is it the new Borderlands game? And is it like you gotta wait 2 weeks because school? Never mind, I saw Satisfactory. I started playing Satisfactory as well, because I saw you started playing it and Mr. Moore started playing it again, and I was like, ooh, that is a really good game, actually. Want to get on that. Welcome, madam, welcome. How about I stab you in the neck? Slab. Slab?
There's blood everywhere.
Is there, though? I'm home right now, but I gotta leave back to my dorm tonight. And won't be back home in 2 weeks. Aw, dang. I can technically remote in and play it, but I've been swamped with both work, and schoolwork. Oh man. That's the price you pay for staying busy.
As fast as I can.
Alright, we're gonna cook all these things real quick.
Now just wait.
Oh, sorry. Forgot to kill you.
Baking time.
I don't want to be busy anymore. I want to play Satisfactory for 60 hours straight and my brain just melt. Dude, that is exactly the life we all want to live.
There's blood everywhere.
When you achieve that level of perfection in your life, tell me how you did it.
As fast as I can.
As fast as I can. Whoa. No. Ah, balls. Alright, we're gonna put that there. By the way, this is such a good song. Y'all can take this adulting shit back. Right? Or else the youth says, straight up, homeboy.
Smells so
No.
good.
Sorry, that's really bad. Let's grab that. Let's put that there. Get rid of you.
As fast as I can.
All right.
Love and buy hold. Me too, dude. Like I feel like such a fake fan because I haven't heard of her until her latest released, Hot Goblin, and then I just blasted Hot Goblin for ages and ages and ages. Like I think 2 straight days I just only listened to Hot Goblin and nothing else. And then I started listening to everything else she's ever made, and I was like, oh Jesus, this is really really good.
As fast.
Yo, you gotta play it. Hot Goblin. It's on this playlist. Oh my gosh, I'm stressing the fuck out here. I'm just gonna murder you real quick. There we go. Alright, there we go. Oh, it just says 7 out of 10.
Moving there.
No! Please don't be mad. Oh, come on. Oh. Oh shit, right. I gotta slaughter a whole person. This is gonna suck ass. I discovered her in 2022. Numb Little Bug. Yeah, oh yeah, I've listened to all of her stuff so far, or now. Numb Little Bug is really good. I think it made the rounds on like TikTok and Reels as well. It was like fairly popular for a while there, I think. Yeah, still killing person, or not. Person's already dead. We're just chopping them up.
As fast as I can.
Bleh. Now we're gonna cuddle the cat. That's 100% where I got it from. That's where 99% of my music comes from. Man, same now. Like I scroll Reels, cause I'm not on TikTok. Like the DrVem community has a TikTok, but I personally don't really scroll TikTok that much because I'm on Instagram. That's where all my friends are, friends and family. You know, that's how old I am. So I scroll Reels, and it'll just like show me a bunch of artists, and I'm like, oh, it's a cool artist, and I'll put in my liked songs. I'll listen to it, and if I don't like it, I'll remove it from my liked songs. It's like a fairly easy exchange there. Lost clients. Oh my gosh. Thank God. I have the best reputation now as well. All the upgrades. Let's grab some skins, baby. Evil designer. We're gonna go bottoms up, really. My Sunday finest. Alright, so next one's gonna be Spiteful Skeleton. Ooh, that's a nice looking kitchen wall though. I haven't listened to Painful Truth in so long. It's a good song. Honestly, that's this. Oh, this was much nicer actually. Way way better lighting in here now. In my murder dungeon. Inkay escape. You do. She is amazing. But I can do like... Oh, okay. How is just a steak 2 stars and a steak and potatoes is 1 star? Like what? Alright. We're gonna prep these. Balls. I really don't like this one. This game, yeah, I've said it before while playing. This game needs optimization. But it's so neat.
Baking time. Baking time. That smells so good.
It smells so good.
It smells so good. As fast as I can.
As fast as I can. Alright.
People will like this.
I've been playing a fuck ton of Supermarket Simulator as well.
Now,
They updated it recently again, and I just there's something about it that I just enjoy. Just being able to like have my employees do everything for me, and then just ordering them to restock and refill at the end of the day.
Like this, as fast as I can.
Designing my own store. That's the life, you know? Slavery? No, I pay them in the game. It's not slavery. They do slave away though, but they're not enslaved, you know. Which I feel is a very important distinction to make here.
Moving there.
9 out of 12 over there. We're good up here. Alright. Meatloaf. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. We need to grab the rat and bake it. Bacon wrapped rat. Yay. I'm just gonna send this.
People will like this. As fast as I
That smells so delicious. It does, doesn't it? You fucking whore. Alright, eggs and sausage. This is supposed to be like eggs and ham. I missed you, Soul. I missed streaming. Been a while. Feels like.
not just a minute.
Let's see here. I'm gonna make another one of these delicious things.
As fast as I can.
As fast as I can. How about I stab you? Feels like I barely talk to any of you anymore, right? That's what happens when you adult.
People will like this.
Honestly, as well, the difference between being in high school and having an adult life, and as much like as how often you talk to people and communicate with your
That smells
good
so
friends,
good.
your pals. It's very different, and it'll get more and more different the older you get. Shit, I entirely forgot about that.
As fast as I can.
I think you're a bad idea. I'm gonna give them something to drink. I can send up some food. Thanks.
This is a masterpiece.
This is a masterpiece.
Smells so good.
Yep. Think I gotta make some sausage.
As fast as I can.
Teehee.
All right.
I'm Shoot, we don't have any, like, real food either. There we go. We're gonna prioritize customers who sit at a table.
As fast as I can.
Alright. Sweet, he just got served some gin. We're sending up his food. We're sending up the steak for the takeaway lady. Great! Alright! Holy shit, gang, I think we made it.
As fast as I can.
Splat, 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 splat. You're not seeing the worst of it because I'm covering it with my camera. But it's horrible. She puts people in like these big meat grinders, then grinds them up and they become either mince or sausage. It's a beautiful game, this. Very normal. Smack. Oh my god, we have the best reputation. Spiteful skeleton. Let's go. Oh my lord. What if I give you more of this? These sad people have the capacity to bring a smile to your face. For instance, when you push them down the stairs. Wait, so this thing just tells you bad jokes? Is that it? I'm not gonna shit on it. That was amazing. Roller coasters makes me sad. Oh, I'm terribly sorry, M. You should be having fun. This is very true.
Ah, good hunter. Like possible.
All right.
We don't need more potatoes, at least. Eggies we could have, though.
That smells so good. As fast as I can.
And onions. I am getting hungry, though.
Smells so good.
Sorry.
The best ingredients for my recipes.
The best ingredients for my recipes. It's just a straight up skeleton now. Alright. Let's see what we can make with sausages. Okay, let's go saucies and eggies. Let's get some fucking bibimbap up here. Just crushing beers.
Baking time.
Oops. I forgot that I had sent my kitty cat out on a run.
Now
I mean, hopefully someone's gonna want eggs and sausages.
People will like as fast as I can. That smells so good.
Smells so good. I burped. What do they want? Oh, fuck off. They want a meat platter. Well. There we go.
As fast as I can.
As fast as I can. Alright, we need saucies.
Could clean this from time to time.
Ew, just the sound.
Moving.
We're gonna grab this. I'm gonna send it up right now.
Will like this as fast as I can.
My favorite one. By far. Because none of you are my supervisors. And if you were, you'd be doing a horrible fucking job, wouldn't you? You're gonna pet the kitty cat. Pet the kitty cat. We're gonna
As fast as
send
I
this
can.
in the oven and send this up.
Will like this.
I mean, he's a skeleton with a hi-hat. You should expect this.
Smells
Sneaky duck. A sneaky duck. Haha. How you doing, Stony?
There's
Hope you're doing all right. And I really hope you haven't killed anyone today. Because that would be horrible now, wouldn't it? shit, we got a bunch of customers here. Dang.
As fast as I can.
Alright, how are we gonna do this? We're gonna send this there. We're gonna start chopping this guy. I'm doing alright. Good, good.
This is a
This is very nice to hear. I love it when my friends are doing alright. Shouldn't be doing too good though. Then people are gonna get mad when you're doing too well.
This is a masterpiece.
As fast as I can.
Alright, now we're gonna bake some stuff.
Now, I just wait. As fast as I can.
As fast as I can. We're sending this up.
Smells so good.
I'm murdering people and making them into food. It's so much fun.
That smells
I already
so
beat the game though, so like there's not a lot of like game time in this game, but it is satisfying. So now I'm just trying to unlock everything because it goes fairly quick.
like this.
I think I might actually stop streaming fairly soon and go force the wife to have
As fast as I can.
a nice little dinner with me.
All right.
Alright. See? Upgraded everything. I'm gonna change to Sunday Friday. No, Collector was better, actually. But I like the dolled up one more. I'm just gonna buy all these. That's the one we want. Ooh, that might actually be a really nice pub wall. Ooh. I'm gonna grab that one. No! No! Yes, it's just the eggs we can send down once it's time. You know what, gang? Gang! Gang, gang. Oh my gosh, Karoo's still alive. We're definitely gonna raid Karoo. Because Karoo's the best. Raid Karoo. The chaotic. Alright. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for the stream, everyone. Thanks everyone for being here. I appreciate you. I'm gonna stream tomorrow again. It's gonna be a stream. I'm gonna try out a new game. Peaks of Yore. Keep an eye out for that. Alright. Thanks for being here. Love you all. Bye.